Hello, everyone, and welcome to this intro group session for the Divine Child Healers program, where we are going to start out by talking about healing in general, healing and children, how these two topics relate to each other, and what we can do to support the children in our own lives, either as parents or grandparents or just a family member, friend, or as a professional if you're working with children either by using healing, or also if you're a teacher or doctor or anyone else working with children. So I'm gonna introduce myself first for those who doesn't know me yet. I'm Matilda Lerge. I'm a healer and energy intuitive, and I used to live in Denmark. Right now I'm in California and enjoying the life here. Also because I've been called here to do the work and the energy upgrades that are needed in this time for the children of the earth. So this is very much a mission tied to the children. And why are the children so important? I think it's not a question I need to ask any one of you who are here really feeling this deep and strong connection with the children, but I'm going to talk about it anyway, more in a grander perspective, because the children are very important on the earth and have always been, because they're bringing the higher consciousness in. They're bringing the expanded and elevated future in for all of humanity, for our earth as general. So there is, of course, this very strong bond between you and the children in your life that you love. And it's very much based on this, you can say, source energy feeling that we feel so strongly connected. There is also a human component to it. There is like attachment, and we're going to go more into that in the program. What is it that is like our divine mission? What is our divine energy and our divine connection to the children? And what is more of an attachment that we have integrated as a part of the human experience that might be time to change and shift a little, so we can really allow the big future of humanity, allow ourselves to expand, allow the humanity to expand in its consciousness, so we can really create what we set the intention to create. So there's a lot in this subject. It is not just about healing or healing sessions. It's really just about being and becoming who we intended to become here on planet Earth, both us as parents or grandparents or adults in general, but also to allow the children to start earlier than you might feel that you've done yourself, to create the elevated future for the earth. So if anyone have any question during me talking, just raise your hand or write in the chat and I will pass over the microphone to you. If you're watching this replay later, you're welcome to write and send me questions about this, because this is I can say it's a very deep topic. There's so many facets of it, and there are so many perspectives in this, and what I'm representing is the higher perspective. So I'm really representing the divine perspective, what is going to happen in the future when we integrate more and more of our divine wisdom, our higher consciousness. How will our relationship with the children change? How do we see them in a different light? How will we relate to ourselves and our children and the new earth children in a different way? So it's really exciting. It's one of the things I work with most. I work a lot with the divine feminine energy and allowing the mother energy to really raise into a new level of vibration. And with that comes this ability to assist the children in staying aligned with their higher vibrations throughout their lifetime, so we can really start early on. And what that means is that we help them to stay aligned with their soul's mission, their soul perspective, you can say, their authentic nature and expression. And if you sit in as a parent and think, what does that mean? It means that your child will not go through the phase of diminishing themselves or feeling bad about themselves, having low self-esteem, all the things you might have remember from your own experience as a child, where you like change yourself to become accepted by others, you change who you were, you might have chosen a different life path than what your true desire is. Many of the children coming to earth now, they desire to have a life where they are really aligned with their highest path throughout their lifetime. So as a parent, you can really, really help, or as a professional, help to assist the children just by allowing yourself to become that too. So If there's any question, please just write them or ask me to pass you the microphone. I will just start a bit by explaining about our energy body and our energy field and how we are assisting children or other beings when we are together with them. So we are physical in this experience. We see ourselves as human physical beings, but what we are more so is also we are an energetic field. And in the field of energy surrounding our bodies, we are really expanding into an infinity, but what we feel is mostly related around this part of our body, that the energy that is related to our body. And we can allow our energy to run freely through our body. Not many are doing that, but we can do that. And we can also contract and have this experience of denser energy in our body, which is often felt as limiting beliefs, lack of self-esteem or depression or these lower emotions. And that is really just a way of shutting our divine nature down. And it's often, you can say it's imprinted in our system. We inherited from our ancestors, our way of looking at ourselves. We have a part of that energy in our DNA or attached to our DNA. We can shift and alter that. So it's not something that's going to stay with us forever. If we choose to integrate the higher energies, we can really do that. So from the energetic perspective, nothing is like stuck or stagnant in our energy. It's all flowing through us or able to flow through us. So if you have a child, I speak to parents sometimes who have a child and they feel that they caused this damage on their child that cannot be changed or reversed or fixed in any way. Just know that everything is energy. So no matter what experience you yourself have had or your child have had, it's always possible to elevate this experience and allow the energy to flow freely again. Integrate the divine perspective or the perspective that you feel that you're whole and complete as you are. So we have this energy body, and you may know from yourself that maybe you feel that you're actually in perfect balance and things are really flowing freely. And know that then that is what you contribute with to your surroundings and to the collective field of consciousness. So if you've really been working with yourself and this for long, you might feel that how you are, the balance you're in, the frequency you're in is really supporting others, because everyone else can come close to you and they will feel this elevation just by stepping into your energy field. And it works like this, that when we're physically together with each other, we resonate with each other. So we will often try to align ourselves to the other person's frequency without even thinking of it. So if you walk into a room and you feel that the energy is very low, you might feel that you're lowering your vibration to fit in that room. You might also feel that you want to leave that room because it doesn't feel good to be in there, especially if you're a sensitive person. But a third thing you can do, and which is very much what we are required and asked to do in this time, is just to hold our frequency, no matter the frequency in the room. So you walk into the room where the energy is dense, and you know you're going to be there because you can feel that it's true, that it's right for you to be there. Then you can learn to hold that energy when your balance becomes really good, and you will no longer dip into those lower vibration. You will feel that you become the frequency leader in that room. And that is something my guides talk a lot about, that our job on this planet right now is to become the frequency leaders. And I will go more into that in a moment. This is just to explain how this field of resonance works. So this is also how it works with your children. And as many of you know, we have great triggers in our, or we can actually let that truth go. But for many of us, we have the belief that we have a lot of triggers in our close relationship. And that goes with your children. And it might be easier if you're working with children, because then you're not in the close relationship in the same time, in the same way. But you will feel that there's a lot of triggers there. They're pointing out exactly where you're not in alignment with yourself, and you feel yourself dipping down, often because you feel that there might be a lot of friction there, and they might point out exactly where you're not in alignment. So coming back to understanding this, that you can come in and becoming that strong frequency leader, and you can learn to hold that level of vibration. When we're talking about healing, you can heal your own children, and you can also heal as a professional as a teacher, or if you're working with healing, it starts to work differently, because when you're in this personal relationship, this really deep, heartfelt connection with your child or grandchild, you have all these things going on. The moment you step into becoming the healer, it might not be felt right away in your relationship, but you start to align with the potential where you're holding the frequency and where you can assist others. So when we're going into healing situations, that is where you can come in and let go of all the triggers you might have felt before in your relationship, and come into the space in you when you can feel the great neutrality. You will no longer judge what is good and bad and right and wrong around your child or any child, and you will come into a space where you're actually able to assist it. And that's where they want to lead us with this. Because when we're in the place where we are judging, where we're judging situation, where we're judging if the child is doing something right or wrong, we will go up and down with our vibration. We will experience some resistance, maybe a lot of resistance to where they're at. And that is making us more unstable in our ability to hold a higher frequency. So the more you practice to come into the space where you are the healer, the easier it becomes to be that neutral energy. And it doesn't mean you don't care about your child or the children that you're here to support. It just means that you become the strongest beam of light that you can possibly be. You become the strongest frequency leader that you can possibly be. So that's where we want to start out this conversation, to talk about how is the healing actually working for these children. Because you can sit in one place and you can connect to the child, which is not even in your living room, which is not nearby you, and you can still connect and create that beautiful healing experience. I'm just going to take a sip of my tea, and let me know if there are any questions. When we're healing a child, it doesn't matter if they're in the same place as you. They can be far away or they can be close. You can connect in with them. Space in this is an illusion. So we can really connect in. Thank you. So you can really connect in with a place in us where we can feel the other and we can heal the other. And I just want to mention something briefly about healing, but they asked me to wait a bit with that. So I will wait with that, because what healing is and how we can really assist this. Because what I'm guided to go into now is to talk more about why we would heal children. Because I hear from many parents, like, and also healers who are a bit in resistance to the idea of healing children. Many are also very, very welcoming it and really feel that we need it. But some feel like children are perfect as they are. There are no need to heal them. That is something I hear once in a while. And that is really a misconception of the idea of healing. So what I experience healing as, and what my guides show me healing is, and I know that many of you will resonate with this when hearing it, healing is not removing you from your natural set point. So it's not changing the child. It is allowing the child to become who they are or stay who they are. Because as we come into the human experience, or as the children come in, we take on all these limiting beliefs around ourselves that removes us from our natural and authentic self. And as I shared with you before, and I don't think I can repeat this enough, is many of the children who are here now are here to create the new earth, the new world, the what we could perceive as the better, the unity, the higher experience of being human. And they wanted to come in and have an experience like that. They didn't want to dig and dive through all the limiting beliefs. They wanted to come in and receive that assistance to maintain their higher frequency. So when they are entangling with this or taking on these beliefs, their vibration will go down. So what you are helping them with by using healing or by staying in your own higher vibration is that you help them to stay in their highest vibration. You help them to stay who they are in their soul alignment, feel their authentic expression, so they won't go through all that deep dives into the denseness of the human reality that many of us have experienced. So it's important to know that you're not changing the child from who they are. You're helping them to stay connected. And what is it that they then will stay connected to? It's their self-confidence, their self-esteem, their self-love, their commitment to being who they are, their kindness towards themselves and thereby also to others. And it's their higher mission. It's their soul signature frequency. You can say it's just where they feel they are really who they're meant to be. So as you can hear, there's nothing in this that would ever change the child from being who they are. It's the other way around. So when we are assisting the child, we're assisting them back into their higher frequencies. And there's several ways to do that with healing modalities that I will share more about later on. Okay, so far so good. So they asked me to save something for now, and now I can't remember what it was. Let's see. Yeah. So so we have a question, and what I just want to say is, so what you're helping the child with is really to stay aligned to who they are, no matter if you choose to use healing on a professional level or if you choose to really come into the alignment with who you are. Yeah, we have a question, and it's John. I will just ask you to unmute.
Okay. Hi, Matilda. This is amazing. And what I want to touch on, which you were talking about, is resonance. About the laws of resonance, where when two come together, there's this wanting to come together with frequencies and this harmonization. So what I'm experiencing as well is really being a master of your own frequency and letting go of limitations. And when we do that, what I'm hearing is that that's aiding and assisting the children as well, not only our own children, but all the children around us that in our field. So when we hold that space, I'm curious about your perspective. When you're holding that higher space and that high frequency, we're allowing the children to come up and meet us in this place as well. And it makes things easier for them. But these kids are also coming in with higher wisdom and information that they're grounding into the planet. And I feel that the children also have things to teach us as well. And I'm just wondering what your perspective is in that relationship when we hold that vibration and we allow our children to have that healthy environment. It feels like that not only are we teaching our children, but our children are teaching us. I'm just wondering if you can comment on that.
That's such an important point, and that is so true. So I feel, and that is exactly a big part of why we're doing this. We want to assist them in staying aligned. So they're coming in with a really high frequency, and what their experience as they merge as they merge into the body and come in is that it lowers their vibration. But they will often in the beginning of their lifetime have a really natural high vibration, and it's as they expand in the human experience, connecting deeper in with the body, they will start to lower their vibration with the limiting beliefs. So what we are helping them with, because when we are helping them in this way, and I know for you who are here on the call, you have naturally really high vibration, but you have gone through the reconnecting with that part of you that allows that high vibration to come through. And when you're in that space, you're allowing them to naturally have their own higher vibration. So they will naturally probably stay in that higher vibration than you and will come in with more wisdom than you. So you're not just elevating them up to the place where you are, but you're allowing them to elevate even further up by using your experience. Because what I can also share is that we create the experience and how to elevate above it. So if you're having a difficult experience, but you go through the stages of releasing this experience, transcending beyond it, transforming it, you will come out and have like the key to how to unlock your higher energy in that experience. So that's the key you're passing on to the child. You say, here you go. This is how you open to this gift in you. They will open, and they will open to their own natural gift. And it might be something you have no idea about. Like it's not any wisdom you have, it's that child's wisdom. And as you say yourself, they can then teach that back to us or back to all of humanity and whatever. I often sit with children where filled into what is their gift. And I have no idea how this is going to look in reality. I can just share with the parents, okay, this child has an ability to feel this or see this And I don't know how they're going to use it, or I feel that they have an ability to really understand communities or really see sacred geometry and understanding in nature and construction or structures. And I can say, this is what I feel, and they're coming to teach us something. I don't know what it's going to be because I don't have that wisdom. They have that wisdom, but I can help them to stay in alignment with opening to that. So that is what we're doing when we're assisting the child. It's not that we know more than them, but we have the keys and the codes in this human experience to help them unlock it. Does that answer the question?
Perfectly, plus some.
That's so good. Okay, yes. So just gonna take a sip of my tea.
Matilda, I have a question too.
Yeah, please feel free.
So when you talked about, like, we did a deep dive into the limitation and into those limiting beliefs, but then the children are coming in not to entangle in that same way. Is there, like, I mean, there is, but what is the higher perspective and purpose? Like, why did some of us choose to go into the limitation more and entangle? And why did some of us decide to come in later and just surf the high of the wave and go right into New Earth?
That's such a good question. Yeah, I love that. So, and that is actually really, really important, and important for everyone who feels drawn into this type of work. And it doesn't mean you have to work it with professional. Maybe you're having your own journey in this. It's so important to understand that we came in as a bridge generation to really help, and that we had really set the intention to have this experience, to create a bridge from the lower dimensions into the higher realms. And they're actually doing the same, but it's just bridging another gap. So they're bridging from a level higher than we are. And as many of you who are on this call, and I know we'll listen to the replays, you might identify with being very sensitive and feeling that there was a lot where you felt you might not have fit in your level of sensitivity. You might have felt that you were way too sensitive for this experience, that you have had a lot of dense experience. Maybe you feel like, how could I even experience so many catastrophes in my life? How could I even experience that much? But you chose that to come in and bridge into the higher because you chose it for the next generation. You knew you could bridge this. You knew you could go through that expansion. And that is the keys and codes we are leveling up in every generation, because that's a part of the human experience. And you might not all identify with this, but as I see it, we are in the human experience, and we've chosen to go through an evolution where we gradually upshifting our frequencies, returning to the I am God frequency within us, the knowing that we are divine beings within a physical human experience. And the more we come closer to that frequency, the more we would just feel that as a natural state of being, and we will be living what some refer to the new earth, the heaven on earth experience. And what I often call these children who are here to work specifically with that is many of us who will be drawn to this, I call us all new earth children. Not because we're new to earth, but we're here to create the new earth. We have a special mission around that, which is also, it's not a very, like, feeling very serious. It's actually a very, very joyful experience, because that is the joy of being the I am God frequency, is very joyful. So when we come into these higher states, we will start feeling very elevated. And that is also what we will see in these children, that when they're in alignment with that, they will feel very trouble-free. They will just feel joyful and just be in their own world and dedicated to whatever they feel dedicated about. And sometimes I see many parents and maybe many of us adults, we try to do our best to teach our children about limitations. And that is good in some ways, it's perfect in some ways, but we are also to understand that we are going to shift and change it as a time. At a point, we will not continue to teach them about, you can't do this because this and that, you can't have it all. Have you not heard that before? You can't have it all. And we teach that to the children, and instead teaching them that yes, they can have it all. You might not be the one giving them all, but they can have it all. And that is completely fine, to just allow that shift to gradually occur, because I know for many of you who are parents or grandparents, you feel like, okay, how can I do this right? And the thing is, it has not been developed yet. It has from your soul's perspective, but you're here to create the path for all of us. You're here to create the path as you live this experience, create the new. So I know that many who are drawn into this are parents who feel very aligned with the higher frequency, who also feel like they themselves are on this big expansive journey of becoming all of who they are again. And that this is just a journey back into be the full self, so they can be the guide for their children in a higher reality. So I feel that that is very much what we are tapping in within this time, whether you're a parent or if you're a teacher, that you are here to hold the higher perspective and really create that path into the new earth. So that is, I hope that answered the question. So now you fell off. Just gonna let you back in. Okay, you're back. Let me hear if that answered the question or if there was more that you...
It was great.
So good to hear. Okay. Yeah, so let us see. So we touched upon why it is important. It is to help our children or help the children on the earth come back and stay in their alignment with their highest like soul wisdom, the soul imprint, and live their life in alignment with that. And I will also say to the parents that might feel like, oh, but my child has limiting belief, or I see a lot of that or that behavior. Don't feel a judgment or guilty or in despair about this, because it's completely natural, and you will experience, just as I just said, we are developing this new path. And one of the most important things to come into is the release of judgment. So that is a big part of it. If you're a parent joining this or will join the program, it's a big part of it, releasing the self-judgment, because there have been so much judgment around parenting on planet Earth. It's like, it's a celebrated sport, I think, to judge each other. And what I share with many parents at this moment is that we have also increased this judgment over the past years to really come into having it surface and release. I saw this post recently saying, in the 80s, considering being a good parent was just to feed your parents once in a while. No, feed your children once in a while. And now it's like this whole list of what you need to do. And it really shows how this is surfacing, the judgment, and it is to be released, because we are to understand that the children are sovereign beings. They are masters in themselves. They are master creators. And how that is going to feel in the body is a big relief. So I've had many parents over the past months really being experienced this themselves, really having a lot of sadness around this, feeling that they didn't do things right, even though they were doing the best. And that is just the release of this self-judgment, because that is also something we don't want to take into the higher states of consciousness, or not that we don't want, but we cannot take that judgment in, because it's just a denser vibration. It simply doesn't exist in that. So we need to let that go also, because our children are, or the children right now, they're super sensitive. It's not helping them to have this judgment filled in this experience, even though it's your judgments towards yourself. Having them in this experience with you, they will feel the judgment, and they will not know if it's yours or their own. They can just feel the energy. And I'm sure that many of you listening can resonate with that, feeling the adult's energy. So imagine this future scenario where you have released all the judgment of yourself. You're just the frequency leader. You're just celebrating you for who you are with an endless amount of love. So that is where we are going. And it doesn't matter if you go there fast or if you're taking your time and just release. You might have had some trauma, some childhood traumas that you yourself need a slow pace to go through, and just release it, so you remember in you, because the healing is the same for you as for adults. It's just you remembering your divine nature and allowing that to flow within yourself. And I believe we also really touched upon how you can do it, how you can really release that, but I can go a bit more into that, I feel. So how can you become that frequency leader? How can you assist the children in your life, whether you're a teacher, a healer, or a parent, grandparent, or in any other way related to children in your life? It's about really coming into loving yourself and releasing the judgment, as I just mentioned. Just allowing yourself to come in and really feel the love and nurture for yourself, and understand that what we're feeling when we're together with others is often what they feel about themselves, but we will feel it as if they feel it about us. And if we're strong frequency leaders, if we're strong in holding our own energy, what we will feel is our own feeling about ourselves. And then we can really become very, very powerful, because we can keep holding that love for ourselves in when we walk into a field, when we are together with others. So that is what we feel, instead of start calibrating with someone else's self-judgment, maybe. So when we really allow us to come back to this level of self-love, and I can say, working with this, that was actually something John just mentioned about when we work with children, and we'll go more into that. When we begin to really allow ourselves to flow these loving energies towards others, as we do when we are healers, and as we do when we work more focused with this, then we allow the more love for ourselves, and we become much more stable in holding our own frequencies. So we might sometimes think that we have to be completely fixed and healed, not there's anything to fix, but that we have to be in this complete good feeling state in order to heal others, and we actually don't. But it will help us to heal ourselves when we start to assist others. The more we can spread this out, the more we allow it actually to flow through us. Not saying that you need to do that always. If you feel that you're giving from a place of having nothing, it's important that you come back and give to yourself first, so you have this space in you filled up before you start sharing with others, that you have this space in you balanced before sharing with others, so you're not just giving away and feeling that you're emptying out your own resources. It's important to come in and you fill that up first. So that is the first step, that you really come in and have that self-love. And when you feel that, you can really also feel that you can share it with others and become stronger from that, instead of feeling that you become drained from that. When you allow more to flow through you to others, you really just expand your own ability to receive and let energy flow through you. So that is an important point too, when going into this deep healing work. You don't have to be healed yourself, and you don't have to be like, feel that you're completely in this place of having everything figured out already. What is happening in many of the healings, and especially in these healings that I'm going to teach on the program, I'm going to talk about in a bit, is that it will stabilize your own energy field first. Because the state you're in when you're transmitting this healing or assisting with this healing is a neutral space. So you will come in and go through all the layers of imbalance first, and come into the place in you when you feel the focus and the dedication. So that is what I want to say about what you can do to assist children. And of course, there are a lot of other things. So let me just hear if there are any questions to this.
I guess I have one, Matilda. Like, what frequency, like how we're mastering frequency and we're holding it to help with the healing. What is the highest frequency we can hold to aid and assist in the healing? Is it love, or?
That's a really good question, Laurie. So what I feel is, and what I do myself, is that I just ask for the highest potential. I just say it's for the highest good, and then allow the child's higher self to assist with the healing, actually. So when we're doing the healing, or I would just go into another example in a moment, when we're doing it through healing, we can assist that child's higher self to assist us with like choosing what is it that's going to happen here. It's their higher self orchestrating this. So they're choosing the frequency that is a match for them right now, that is going to help them to reawaken the parts of themselves that they might have been dimming or that has been dormant. If you're parents, then I would say acceptance is the highest potential that you can hold, because from that the love flows, the energy just flows through you. So from that place you will have all the energy that is required flow through you. You don't need to label it anything specific, but when you're in the field of accepting yourself fully and accepting the child fully, you're like this open channel. And then you can let the frequency, just whatever comes through you, come through you. It will be the highest. Does that make sense? Okay. Were there more questions? Super. So I'm going to go into what we are going to work in the program. And if you haven't heard about the program before, I can say the Healers program is a 6-month program, and we're starting on August 25th. So that's next week. And it's a program where you can participate, you can be a part of it, even if you don't want to work as a professional healer, as a parent or family member, grandparent, you can join as well, because as we just talked a lot about, it is about really coming into mastering those frequency and becoming the frequency leader in this time. And I know that there are many that feel called to assist children in their own family or in the neighborhood, and also some on a professional level. And when you are on this program, you will really come into mastering these frequencies and also start to understand, or really understand, what is this whole incarnation about? What is this whole thing about the children on the earth and the different generation, and what are they coming here with? What are they going to teach us? How can we support them best? So I will just go a bit through the program, and you can see what we will learn in the 6 month. So first of all, we have a 6 module, and we have 2 activations. So on the course, you will learn 2 types of healing modality. One that will allow you to assist more broadly. It can be used on groups of children. So if you're feeling that something's going on in the world right now, I don't know from yourself, I know many feel like, okay, how can I assist these children? It actually came in response to the children in Ukraine. When that whole thing was happening, I felt many went into despair. I just was guided to start this program, actually. And it was just like, it was not a resistance to what was happening. It was just like, now is your time. Now is your time to form this group of healers who will assist children on the earth right now, because this is the time you're going to do it. This is the time you're going to play that role as an assisting force for these children, because many of them will be traumatized. They came from a perfectly normal childhood, and then they probably experienced this, you can call it an extreme, and it will cause trauma in the system if they're not in some way helped to rebalance and regain the connection with their highest consciousness, and then knowing that they're safe and protected in this world, that they're supported in their highest mission. And in order to experience that, they really need to have their assistance to come back into the alignment. And as I also channeled for we have had some preparation calls for this, is that they came now because they knew we would be some here assisting them on the way. So they could go, I need to let someone in. They could go through those experiences knowing that we will be here assisting them back into their perfect balance again. So if that calls on you, I knew it definitely called on me when my guide shared that with me. It's like, yes, healing, no, not necessary for all, but there are some who actually chose to incarnate right now because they know you're going to be here. You're going to be here assisting and helping them. So it's really important. They say, don't take it like a heavy weight on your shoulder, but know that you're important, that you chose this for a group of children. Maybe it's your own children. Maybe it's like what I just shared with you, the children in Ukraine, the children somewhere else in the world that you are going to assist with this next level. So this was the first healing. Is you can use it for groups, you can use it for children that you don't know. It's like what I call an impersonal healing, because you don't have to know the person, you don't have to get permission. You allow them to just receive that healing in the level they're ready for at that moment. You're not going in and feeling how are they feeling in this moment. You are giving it as a support from the outside. Can I let you in? I'm just going to give it as support from outside and surround them in this field of love and this field of support, and knowing that they're perfectly supported. So that is the first activation that you will go through in this program. It's a deep activation. You will get to practice this healing, and we will get to share together how we will use this healing. We might form groups where we can heal some of the places, some of the children in some places of the earth together. That is what I feel guided to, that is what we can start doing in this group together. So that is the first healing that you will learn. Then we have the second, which is like a deep reconnection healing, where you will know the person that you're healing, you will know the child, know that you can also use this healing modality for adults. It's not hindering anything. But in this, with this healing modality, you will know the child. You will need to ask for permission from the parents to give this healing to the child. And when you're doing this, you're allowed to feel what the child is being healed, what is happening in the child, what are the things that are awakened in the child. You can communicate with the child's higher self. You can go much deeper into the healing, and you allow them to use your keys and codes. Whatever experiences you have had and breakthroughs in your life, you are allowed their higher self to use that for the child. So that is a really deep healing that you will also learn here, and we will actually be able to use it. And a very funny and interesting thing that they told me is that we will in the beginning use it on ourselves. So we will be able to go back to our childhood self and use these keys and codes to give it back to ourselves from our childhood. I don't know how it sounds to you, but for me it sounded super exciting. Like we can play with this time, and we can play with our self-healing actually, or self-remembrance. So we can give that child that was us, we can give ourselves these keys and codes. And then we will also start working with, maybe you have a child in your family that you feel like it's time for them to receive this healing. And you will learn much more about when you can do it, how you can do it, what is required in order to do this. So these are the two healing modalities that we are going to use. Are there any questions to them? You can just raise your hand. Perfect. Okay. Yes, so I will talk a little about the modules and just go briefly through them, because we talked a lot about the content already here just in the introduction. So on the first module, you will gain a basic understanding of energy and how it is integrated in the child's body. And then I will introduce how different types of sensing in the child. We have both the children born with very strong clairsentient, clairvoyant abilities, and also just their basic form of sensing. And is it different to you as parents? Maybe, maybe not. It's really expanding our understanding of how we're able to sense, because we don't all come in wired the same way. We might think that sometimes that other people are just sensing the same as you, but they're definitely not. And you will be able to feel that when you're connecting in with a child in this deeper way during the healing. If you're open to that level of sensing, then you will feel that, whoa, here's a child that can actually feel and see something I cannot feel and see. So that is really, really exciting. And you will understand how the child is wired in a certain way, because they have these senses to fulfill their mission in life. And just to be clear, we can never fail our mission. Our mission is often to be here and be loved. But just to understand that we come and have different abilities, and it's often used to explore life in a very specific way. Okay, on the second module, we will be focusing on understanding the different settings in the body and in the energy field, and understand how that can be like dimming the energy field of the child, how it can prevent us from receiving our full level of energy. So really understand how we are using different settings to you can say reduce our full expression of our authentic self. So really understand what is happening in the child's energy system that is experienced maybe traumas, that have a lot of limiting beliefs running. How does that look in the child, and how does that feel in the body? And really understand how we can shift this and what we can do energetically to really help them realign to their authentic selves. And that's a lot with the keys and codes that I've been sharing on this call. And in module 3, we're gonna focus in on what is the role of the family. So if you're the family, or just understanding what is the role of the family or the caregiver, and also understand incarnation and incarnation themes in the child's mission here on Earth, because we can think that something went wrong. I often hear, not so much from any very close, but it's like, if you were a good parent, your child will be successful. Or if you did it right, then you can see that you did it right because your child is successful. And then what about the parents where the children are not successful in the human standards? What I see very clearly is we can let that go completely. Yeah, celebrate if you see that your child is successful, but that is the life theme you chose. There are some amazing parents on this planet that came in and chose a different experience. They chose to entangle. They chose to have a child that entangled with the density, and they chose that as a shared experience to maybe come back into their own mastery, maybe to see the child as a divine master by that experience. And there is nothing that went wrong, and to come into understanding that, let all that judgment go. Just allow yourself to be the free being that you are, and allow your child to be the same, or the children that you see around you. Let the judgment go and understand the underlying, what was the theme here? What was the purpose of experience, maybe the drama you experienced with the children in your life? So that is I find that is a really, really powerful shift for us to make, because that's what I see in all the parents that I work with. When we come in and understand this incarnation theme, what was it that was going on? Is the child coming in and experience a lot of duality? Oh, here's a child that actually are here to create union. That is why the child chose to experience a lot of friction, maybe between the parents, or whatever that can be. There is a really deep desire from a masterful level to have certain experience that might not always seem fun from a judgmental point of view. So that is one thing we're going to dive really, really deep into. And then we're going to go into module 4, and that is what I call parents of the earth, and that is my guides, they call it that. And that is actually doesn't mean that you have to in the physical be a parent. It means you're parent of the earth. It means you came here as an archetype, a new type that is going to create the higher levels of being a parent. And it can be a parent for anything. It can be parent of the flowers, it can be parent of the nature, it can be parent of a child, an animal, parent of yourself. And it's the new roles of the divine feminine and masculine that are also being merged together as one. And I know from some of you, one who's on this call, we're going to Mount Shasta this weekend to really anchor in some of these deep unity codes into the earth. So this is also what this is about. It's a divine mission. It's a deeper mission that we're really called to come into at this time, to really anchor in the union between the divine feminine and masculine, the mother and the father energy, in such a deep, loving embrace that we cannot really imagine it before we feel it in our body. So there is something about that. What is the role right now for us on the planet? How can we show up as the mother of the earth or the father of the earth? And now, why are we doing this right now? What is the role of the children when we are embracing this? What will the children's role then be here on Earth? So that is really exciting too. I'm looking forward to that, and also to see where we are brought over the next month, because it feels like there's a lot coming up for us, a lot of expansion. Okay, so module 5, and we're approaching the end of this program, is how you can step into being a support on the earth plane. So whether it is as a parent, whether it is as a teacher working with children, whether it is as a healer, how can you specifically step up as the support that you are? And we will go into each one of you very specifically, so we can feel into that, and you will be giving some assignments to really come in and feel, what is my role in this time? So it can feel clear in you, not what you have to do, but what feels good in you, what feels aligned in you, what feels like, that is my role right here, and I love it and embrace it with all that I am. So that is also one thing we're going to look into. And then on the last, and on the very last module, the 6th module, we will allowing the realignment with the highest path. So we're going to go deep into that. So you defined how you are here as a support for the children, and then we're going to go in and open to that in the last session, and also wrap up and make sure that everything is really how you want it to be, and that it's clear for you what is your next step from here. Maybe some of you want to dive deeper into the healings, and maybe some of you feel now you're just ready to be the best parent for yourself and thereby also for the children in your lives. So that is very much it. And there will be added something during our 6 months together. So that is going to be really exciting too. And I feel we're moving with the energy in this program. So when new things are coming up, we are integrating whatever is happening in your life in relation to this. We will open and integrate it. So that is very much what I want to share about the program. Are there any questions? I can see we have one from John.
It's more of a comment, if that's okay.
Yeah.
There's just so much information here. I find this truly amazing. I can see that from what you're actually sharing, that this actually even goes beyond what you explained here for the parent and the child. Even if we're not finding ourselves in a situation where we have children or even around children, this information itself, to embody this information, is a great assistance to humanity, because we radiate these frequencies out. Mm-hmm. And so we are being of great assistance to the children on Earth, to the planet as a whole. So I can see a lot of value that extends way beyond the description that you have for this course.
Thank you so much, John. Yeah, I really appreciate that comment. Yes, and that's what I feel too, because it is really so much deeper. It's the life mission. So I also believe that those who feel called to this, maybe you watch this and you just feel like, okay, this is enough for me now, that enough information, I want to shift at my own pace, but maybe you feel called into this. And then it's something so much deeper, because it's about your life's path. It's about your own path. And that is also what we're opening up to during this course, following your intuition in the big way, because you have your own journey with this, and you have your own way. You might have your whole own field that you're developing throughout this program, with all the other things that are showing up in your life and helping you to open up and realign with your highest path and your highest mission. And again, the highest mission is not more right than others. It's just more joyful. It's just more you. So that is what I want to say to this. So yes, John, I'm really excited. And I'm excited you're with me. I'm excited that Laurie is with me, and all the others who will see the replay later. I'm excited for those of you who have already joined. And if you feel called to join this and haven't joined yet, I will share the link to join below. It's $800 for the 6-month program, and you can pay in up to 6 installments. And if you feel that you need to pay in even more installments, please just contact me and we can arrange that easily. So it's about, if you feel the call, there is a way for you to join, most definitely. And as I said, I will share the call if you have and the link. If you have any additional questions, please send them to me. We're starting on August 25th, and it's at it's on Thursdays. Our modules are on Thursdays, and it's at 9 a.m. Pacific time, which is 6 p.m. Central European time, summertime. And each module will be around 2 hours. Then we have 2 activations, and you will be able to see the date of these 2 activations. I think the first one is coming up in the beginning of October. And these are on Sundays, and these are 3 hours. So they are really longer sessions where you will be guided deeply into yourself, activated, and you probably need some hours after that to really allow the integration to occur. Because when we're going into these activations, they're taking us really deep and expanding us at the same time. So no driving cars right after. It's just about just being in your own space. So I think that was what I want to share for today. Are there any last questions? Then feel free. Okay, then I will just end it here and say thank you for those who were here with me live, and I'm looking forward to see all of you who will join on next Thursday. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Bye bye.